Okay, it's day 114, and for over a year I've had Andre Carson in the middle of my channel art here, and I've had this article from Heather Cagle from Politico about the 20 burglaries as the key part of my channel. And the three committees here, Intel, House, DHS, and Foreign Affairs have been the three key committees I focused on, these 20 burglaries. And I still think that's the key to the whole, not only spy ring in Congress, but and then it explained the theft ring, the car theft ring in Congress, but it also explains the drug ring in Congress. And now we're seeing a lot of obfuscation and parallel construction to try to cover for this drug ring. But essentially, if we get the initial Capitol Police report for these 20 burglaries and we find out which congressmen are the 20 burglaries, we'll have the answer to the test. Now, we have some clues from the Daily Caller article, which talked about the server and then the 45 different folks that have worked for the Awan. So we have some clues. We can play some guessing games, but it would be better just to come straight out and say which 20 there were. That's exactly what my lawsuit tries to do. Get to the truth rather than all this kind of parallel construction we're seeing now. The three key people, an article came out here about Keith Ellison from Minnesota meeting with Louis Farrakhan and two other Democrats, and the two other Democrats are going to be Greg Meeks, who has JFK Airport in his area, and then Andre Carson that I just mentioned. And this is going to be the funnel of getting money back into the Congress to fund the drug ring operations. And this is an operation that's going to be bringing operatives in from mainly Pakistan ISI trained operatives and putting them around the United States, mainly here in Washington, D.C., but also in New York and also key port cities where, and I still say, those key port cities are the same 20 cities of the same 20 Blackberries. So these different people that have carried the Blackberry, that you carry the Blackberry for a certain length of time and then you give it off to the next guy. You don't carry it forever. But then you become part of the conspiracy, and this is what we've got going in our house. Now, Daily Caller named about 45 of these folks that had passwords and so forth. Other reports have said there was 33 that worked directly for the Awans, and then there was 12 that they had illegal access to. So we can argue about that. But again, when you get the Capitol Police report, all this goes away. And I've asked for this as a writ of mandamus from Judge Contreras in my trial here. And if we get that, then we won't have to do this guesswork. Okay. So moving along, you'll see this top trending story about this guy named Jonathan Weiner. He's at DOJ. He's quitting. He also magically came up with a Blumenthal memo from Christopher Steele at the same time Blumenthal did. But he's an attorney, so he's covered. He was also this APCO story with Uranium One. He's the $3 million given to the government of Russia, but it's all covered in attorney-client privilege. But he was also at the State Department. He has a big opinion piece out now in the Washington Times and so forth, saying how Devin Nunes is really coming after me, and this is so bad. And now he's Middle East Institute. We talked about the institutes yesterday as kind of a way of laundering information. And then, of course, Libya in his background with the State Department. And then you're going to see he was been with APCO, which is kind of a funnel. So you get these weird stories like the weird tales of Jonathan Weiner coming up with this memo at the same time that Sid Blumenthal is coming up with it. But guess what? I'm Victoria Nuland. I didn't get it from Sid Blumenthal. I got it from my attorney, right? I got it from my attorney, and then John Kerry is going to say the same thing. I didn't mishandle classified information. I got it from Victoria Nuland. We have a totally cleansed memo. We don't have that dirty memo from my good friend Sid Blumenthal. What I like to do is look a little deeper, and no pun intended here, for the Charleston Harbor Deepening Project, and look to congressmen that may have supported Imran Awan for these ports deals, because this is a way that you can use the federal money to get money into your district, and in turn support your drugs and weapons trade for the Iran-Contra type trade. Now, I'm not saying Jim Clyburn is involved in that, but I look more to this kind of thing where a lot of money is being spent in a congressional district more than I look to these kind of parallel constructions, which I see as more to confuse the public, right? So, and here, if you want to see it again, the Wall Street Journal is talking about these three DNC chairmen, and Keith Ellison is the key guy here that's, funneling the money. They throw Louis Farrakhan in here to be a lightning rod, so to make it a black-white issue. It has nothing to do with Muslim Brotherhood or black-white. It's about Hezbollah funding a drug ring in Congress. No more complicated than that. So you're going to see people like this, Michael Corton, who he also resigned. You're going to say, geez, it's all these people at FBI resigning, all these people are in the Strokes page memos. But what really Michael Cortan did was he was a key organizer for SEIU, and he was a key representative of the Postal Workers Union. And again, you need hands and feet in all these different areas. Wherever your ports are, you're going to need hands and feet. You could use Amazon people for private, or you could use public SEIU employees if they're postal workers. But the idea is the same. You need people with congressional experience working for SEIU in these key port areas. And I'll just wind it up by saying, if you look at the map, and look at the history of labor in America, it kind of almost tells the story itself. You can almost predict where the 20 Blackberries are going to be. You're going to be concentrated around Chicago, Rahm Emanuel. You've got the DNC helpline, help desk there. I wonder if Rob has access to that stuff coming in and out of NGP Band, which is all the voluntary information, all the union information. I wonder, right? Detroit, obviously, with John Conyers, you're going to have a center of excellence. New York, you're going to have Yvette Clarke, Anthony Weiner's old district. You're going to have Greg Meeks there. You're going to have Crowley up there. As you come down to Philadelphia, well, I skipped over Ohio. You're going to have Marcia Fudge. You're going to have somebody else down here near Cincinnati. You're going to have somebody else here in Columbus. I don't know the reps right off the top of my head. But same thing, as you come down these port cities, Cherry Point, North Carolina, you're going to have Virginia, obviously, Eleanor Holmes Norton here in D.C., Maryland, you're going to have Steny Hoyer with Andrews Air Force Base, and away you go. You just can go kind of down the line with all the ports. Get down here to Florida, you have a huge concentration with I met Billericus from Tampa in the elevator the other day. Over here, you're going to have Cedric over here in New Orleans, and you're going to have somebody down here in Corpus Christi with, I can't remember her name right off the bat. Same thing over on the West Coast. So it almost is going to lay itself out. As soon as we see as I said, as soon as we see the Capitol Police report, it'll all be obvious. That's what we really need, and the 20 will shake out. I think the 45 are just people who've carried it over time, and then the 20 is really going to be the answers of what's really going on in terms of the drug ring in Congress right now.